Nuneaton, the jewel of the South Midlands, the town who gave us such great men as George Eliot and Larry Grayson, the throbbing heart of this teeming metropolis, the pearl of the CV13 postcode, down by the roundabout and up the one-way system, is Nuneaton Town Hall, where we can find none other than Nuneaton's Mr. Entertainment.
Hello ladies and gentlemen and boys and girls, I'm Barry Tadcaster and this is my friend Ken Jevons, who is an orang pendek. Hello, my name is Ken Jevons and I am an orang pendek. Unlike the other orang pendeks, I do not come from the Indonesian island of Sumatra. I come from the London borough of Lewisham, where I am employed by Lewisham Town Council as an ombudsman. Hello and welcome to another episode of On the Track Extra. And what delights have we got for the viewers this week, Ken? This week we will be visiting the island of Formosa, and we will be taking a look at the native vinegar brewers plying their toil.
I really like the old credits.
Hi, Karina.
Hi Charlotte, you never guess what?
What?
It's Max.
Has he forgotten again?
He's in Moscow. Probably something to do with model trains, but you know, he's been to the zoo and actually live streamed from the zoo.
Did he remember to film the Sturgeon?
Oh, yes he did.
I will admit to being a big kid. I come from the generation to which a telephone was this large black Bakelite thing that went ring, 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 and it was positioned on a table by the windowsill. The idea that somebody can have a telephone in their pocket and that then they can actually take pictures of it, that they can take movies on it, and that they can then stream what's happening to them to somebody else thousands of miles away watching in real time is really nothing short of miraculous. It's a thing of science fiction. And I still get really excited about it, and I haven't got used to it yet. The other lunchtime I was busily trying to sort out what to do about Mother when she was discharged from hospital, when there was a phone call noise came through on my iPad. It was Max, and he was in Moscow. And even more exciting, he was in the Moscow aquarium deep underground. And of course my Frederick Forsyth head immediately snapped into being, because when anybody tells me that they are in a bunker deep below Moscow, it does bring up my best Cold War fantasies. But Max was on a guided tour of Moscow Aquarium, and he decided to share it as much as he could with me. He took a lot of film of sharks and rays because he knows how fond Charlotte is of the elasmobranchs. Like I've already said on many occasions, I find technology really sexy, but I'm not terribly good at using it at first. I'm not very intuitive with it. And so for some reason the first part of Max's guided tour which he gave us, although I was talking to him in real time, his voice didn't come out on the recording. So I'm afraid you're just going to have to hear me prattling on from memory. The long saga of On the Track, Dr. Max Blake and Sturgeon species in Moscow Aquarium goes back several Christmases ago to when Max was visiting us. Even since he got his doctorate, he goes back to his family in Somerset every Christmas, and he usually manages to come down and see us as well, which is always very kind of him. He had recently visited Moscow Aquarium, and he told us all about his adventures there. And when he told me about this diverse collection of sturgeon species, most of which I'd never actually seen and some of which I'd never even heard of, I asked him if the next time he went back, if he could take some pictures for us, or even better, some video. It so happened that he went back fairly soon after, and he took some pictures, and then over and over again kept on forgetting to send them to us. Then, last Christmas, he brought down a portable hard drive, which allegedly contained the pictures. But when we plugged it in, it actually didn't contain anything of the sort. And dear Karina carried out a base libel upon the poor boy, insisting that it was actually full of pictures of model railways. I don't know why that amused me so much at the time, and continues to amuse me ever since, but it did. Humour is subjective, yada yada yada. And now, at long last, here we are looking at the Moscow Aquarium's stunning collection of sturgeon. There are 27 species of sturgeon, very primitive fish, which all belong to the family Acipinceridae. They are classed as primitive because although their evolution dates back to the Triassic period, some 245 to 208 million years ago, their morphological characteristics have remained relatively unchanged since the earliest fossil records. The family is grouped into 4 genera and, according to some online species, 4 of the 27 species may now be extinct, although we were unable to confirm this. 2 closely related species, Polydon spatula, the American paddlefish, and Cephurus gladius, the Chinese paddlefish, which is regarded as being probably extinct because no living specimens have been unequivocally recorded since 2007, are of the same order Acipinceriformes, but are in the family Polydontidae, and not considered to be true sturgeons. According to those jolly nice fellows at Zootialista, which is a fascinating website that I really recommend to you all, Moscovarian currently holds 6 species of sturgeon. Acipensa biori, the Siberian sturgeon, Acipensa guadaltantstel, the Russian sturgeon, Acipensa nudiventris, the fringe barbel sturgeon, Acipensa shreki, the Amur sturgeon, Acipensa stellatus, the starry sturgeon, and Huso, the beluga sturgeon, possibly the most iconic of the 6 species. This is the largest known freshwater bony fish species and second most massive living species of bony fish behind the ocean sunfish. The largest accepted record is of a female taken in 1827 in the Volga estuary, which weighed 1,571 kilograms, that's 3,463 pounds, and measured 7.2 meters or 23 feet 7 inches in length. It's found primarily in the Caspian and Black Sea basins, and occasionally in the Adriatic Sea, heavily fished for the female's valuable roe, which is known as beluga caviar. The beluga is a huge and late-maturing fish that can live for about 118 years. The species numbers have been greatly reduced by overfishing and poaching, prompting many governments to enact restrictions on its trade. I'm exceedingly envious of Max for having the chance to see these creatures alive, something which I've always wanted to do. However, the really sad thing about this all is that very soon it will only be in places like the Moscow Aquarium that we will ever be able to see these creatures alive again. And I seriously hope that the Russian government manages to stem both the legal and illegal trade in these beautiful fish, and preserves them for future generations to feast their eyes upon. And believe it or not, that's not all. Immediately after the piece of film that you've just seen, the system collapsed. I don't know whether it was our system or whether it was Max's phone system or whether it was something that happened in the Moscow Wi-Fi system. I don't know. But when we got back online to each other 5 minutes or so later, we found that not only could we see and hear each other, but we managed to record the sound this time. So there's going to be another 10 minutes or so of Max taking us round some of the highlights of the Moscow Aquarium in the next episode of On the Track Extra. But now I want to go back a few weeks to what happened when Carl Marshall and Richard Freeman were sitting together on the couch in my sitting room, talking about subjects of cryptozoological interest, and in this episode they're talking about the controversial results found by Oxford professor Brian Sykes of hair samples in the Himalayas. Okay, gentlemen, your next topic, should you decide to accept it. A few years ago there was a lot of controversy over some research done by Wolfson College, Oxford professor Brian Sykes, who Richard and I and Karina know personally. I don't know if you ever met him, did you, Carl? But okay. What about the allegations about the ancestral polar bear?
From what I gather, there was something wrong with that, wasn't there? There was contamination, or...
Well, they got a number of the specimens that were collected from specimens that were known to be bears. There was a really badly stuffed bear. There was another from a description of an animal, a dead animal, and the person that found it, he was certainly describing a bear, not any kind of primate. And it was initially thought that this was the hair of a polar bear, which of course lives nowhere near the Himalayas, but it matched a jawbone of an ancestral polar bear that was thousands and thousands of years old. But it seems to have been that there was some sort of contamination in that, and that those results were wrong. So I don't know.
Last I heard, it was they were closer to an extant polar bear.
Yeah. So I still don't.
Which makes even less sense.
I still don't know how the hell polar bear.
Yeah. Well, could that have more to do with the cryptid known as the Dramo rather than the Yeti?
Possibly. Possibly. I mean, it would surprise me if there wasn't some sort of unknown bear in the Himalayas.
It would surprise me too.
But it's not the same thing as the Yeti.
Okay.
What is Brian Sykes' current thinking on the subject?
Of the polar bear?
Yeah.
I've no idea.
No, I don't. There's not been another expensive documentary been made which has addressed the erroneous results.
Something that is very interesting though is that there was another documentary with Mark Evans, the vet, who initially did the 3-part series. And if you remember in the initial series he was very sceptical about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, he went back to Bhutan. He did another documentary called Lost Kingdom of the Yeti, which was very good. And he went with a French geneticist called Dr. Eva Bellarmine. And they took some samples from a pool in the mountains of Bhutan to search for eDNA.
That's environmental DNA.
Environmental DNA. When an animal moves through an environment or drinks from a pool, a little cells shed off it. So you can tell everything that's drunk from this pool or walked through this particular area of the forest or whatever. And they found that there was DNA from a very rare type of wild sheep that wasn't recorded from that area before. They also found that there was DNA from some sort of primate there that shared 99% of its genetic makeup with modern man. So that's more closely related to human beings than it is to than chimpanzees are to human beings.
Okay.
And I've been trying to contact Dr. Eva Bellarmine, but I've had no response yet.
Okay.
For those who've been worrying about my family health problems, Mother has been discharged from hospital and is now in a care home in Abbotsford for a few weeks while we rearrange the house, giving her a downstairs bedroom. And Karina, sadly, is still very unwell, although she'll be going into hospital on the 31st of October in order to have her operation on her kidney, which we seriously hope will be making things much nicer for her. So please, ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, whether you believe in a religion or not, remember us in your thoughts and prayers.
If you want to support us and help us make more content like these, please press like, subscribe, follow our Facebook page and check out our Patreon.
Hello, it's me again. I just wanted to explain something in a little more detail. Between 2000 and 2016, that's 17 years, I promoted something that we called the Weird Weekend. It was an annual convention for and by the Centre for Fortean Zoology, and it was aimed at bringing together our members and people from across the world who are interested in what we do, what we have achieved, and what we hope to do in the future. It was a gloriously surreal chemical mixture of hard science, weird shit, and groovy silliness. And you know what? I miss it very much indeed. A couple of months ago I decided to rebrand our monthly web TV show and try and use it to recapture something of the vibe of the Weird Weekend. And I truly think that we're heading in the right direction. On the Track comes out once a month, and in between episodes are episodes of On the Track Extra, which we aim, but don't promise, to get out approximately weekly. We're also trying to get our heads around the new features offered by those jolly nice fellows at YouTube, and so, for starters, why not check out the 2 episodes of On the Track Extra that I'm linking to here at the end. If you haven't seen them already, I suspect you'll enjoy them a lot. See you soon.